Hey guys, Wayne Sutton here, prosperwithwayne.com. Thanks for jumping on another episode. Creating health, wealth, and happiness. And that's what it's about. That's really what it's about. Those who follow us, you know, I want to help you create that lifestyle, life coach lifestyle. So if you're a coach or you're a consultant, but you're not one yet, maybe you are, but you're struggling to get to that six-figure or beyond. Thanks for jumping on the podcast. Today, I am proud to have a friend, Jeff J. Hunter, on with us, Jeff J. Hunter. And so I'm going to turn it over to him in just a minute. But a little bit about him. I met Jeff online. I met Jeff online several years ago. I've been following him. I've been learning from him. And he's the Chief Growth Officer. I love that at Branded Media, .io. He creates solid, recognizable, legacy-driven personal brands for legitimate companies and influencers. That's what I love. That's what I love. It's the legitimate companies and influencers. Some of you on this call today need to hear what Jeff has to share with you. And what I love about it is they execute these proven, working now brand strategies, rebrands, makeovers to get you where you want to be, to take you to that next place. Jeff's an active contributor to Forbes. He's been featured on CBS, ABC, NBC News, and Inc. So Jeff and his team, they travel locally and internationally, speaking, teaching their brand, and helping people change their life. And this is why I'm so excited to have you on the phone right now in this, really bringing this information to the world, Jeff. Thanks for being on with us, man. Absolutely. Well, Jeff, I said this, and just for the sake of those who follow me on the podcast, we're pretty raw, unedited. We bring it. I believe bring truth, and you'll resonate with people, and you'll change lives. And that's what I saw with Jeff. Of the people that I follow and learn from, Jeff, I saw you a number of years ago, and I've seen you really transform your business and help so many people transform their business. The people that are listening to us, I know my audience are coaches and consultants and maybe people that want to be. They want to be those who transform lives. And we're working. I tell everybody, it doesn't matter where you're at. It's where you're focused. It's your outcome, where you're heading to. And so let's get people there. And Jeff, a lot of my audience, they are part-time. They're part-time. They are working 40, 50, 60 hours a week as I used to do, as I know you used to do. And they're trying to start their business on the side. They're trying to get out there and legitimately help people. Let me ask you, man, what advice do you have for someone that's listening to this podcast, that's hustling? They're probably listening to this after work or on lunch break, or, and they're trying to figure out how do they go to the next level? How do they become the person they've been created to be? What would you think of advice?
Whether you're a coach or a business owner or a service provider or whatever you're doing, what's really important, if you want to do this full time, if you really want to commit and go all in on this, and this is what you want, like you wake up and this is your passion every day, what's really important is having a process. Having a process that you can walk people through, that they can understand. It needs to be something that's visual, so that people can see where they are now and where you're going to help them go, right? Especially if you're in the coaching space, then you need to show people how you're going to be able to help them transform along the timeline as well. One of the ways you can do that is by making sure that you have basically a step-by-step process in your business. That way you can show people what to expect going through. Because I think that pretty much every bad relationship that we've had in life has just usually been a mismanaged expectation on one side. And usually it's our own fault by not helping set expectations, especially when you're selling, if you're the business service provider.
That's great. Mismanaged expectations. That's huge. Communication.
Okay. Think about it, Wayne. The coaching space, it's become, I don't want to say flooded because it's still a new space, but it's definitely got people in there that, they don't have a really good process to kind of guide. I think of coaches more like guides. I hate the word coach, actually. I think guide is more I think the guide is such a great term, because if you think about people, it's not your path, it's their path, right? It's their path of their journey, and you're helping them guide. You're helping them navigate the obstacles that are on their path. Those obstacles are going to be different than everyone else's obstacle. Everyone has their own unique circumstances and situations, and it's your goal to help them get where they want to go. So the first part is the figuring out where people actually are right now, and then helping them plot out the course. It's kind of like GPS, right? Like, you have to have where you are and where you want to go for the GPS app to figure out the path to get there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
You got to have the goal set. You have to have that put in place so that you can work on the strategy to get them where they want to go.
Yeah, it's so awesome. It's so awesome. Those who follow me, I've said 1,000 times, without a blueprint, without a process, then you are lost from the very beginning. So, Jeff, that's another way of saying it. You really, I created the life coach certification and marketing system because of what you just said, Jeff. And we haven't talked about this, but I saw too many people that wanted to be a coach. They wanted the wealth that comes with it. They wanted the notoriety, whatever, but they did not have a process. So they got involved with other programs, and they were just wishy-washy. They had no structure to it. No, as you said, no process. And they didn't know what they were doing. So the first time they tried to help somebody, they didn't really get the results. They didn't get a proven result, and so the people didn't come back. So you give coaching a bad name, you don't really help anybody, and you never build true wealth. So I think having a process
too is when you set expectations and you can't meet those expectations, what ends up happening is, you have lowered. I'll just throw something out there. This is something that I had a discussion with Ryan Dice about not too long ago. He's one of the co-founders of DigitalMarketer.com.
Digital Marketer, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about how most relationships that we have in life start out transactional, whether it's a personal relationship or it's a business relationship or whatever that is. It usually starts with an initial transaction. In the business space, it's here's the expectations of what I'm going to do for you, and here's how much it's going to cost. And depending on how you actually, perform based on what your expectations were, people are either going to say, wow, he really met and exceeded my expectations, or wow, he didn't, or she,
Yes.
Whoever's listening here. So that sets the stage for what that person thinks about you forever. So if you don't have really clear expectations and you're under-delivering on what you do, then everybody views you, that person that basically had that first transaction with you, is always going to view you as lower value than you put out there. And that's a very dangerous place to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Jeff, you've helped a lot of people. You've helped a lot of companies. You've helped a lot of individuals. What would you say to someone that is, they are part-time, or they are, well, maybe they're full-time, but they're not where they want to be. And how would they begin to put together a process? How do you help people place together a process in their own marketing or in their own life? What would be the first right step in your mind?
Well, the first thing is that you have to make people have a strong confidence that you can do what you say you can do, right? So to do that, it requires something. It requires building authority, right? Building authority. How do you actually build authority? In my own process that I teach, it's called the core branding method. This is what I teach to people to establish themselves as basically an icon in their industry. I talk about two main things: omnipresence and relevance. When you have omnipresence, and I'll explain what this is, omnipresence is the ability to be in front of your audience wherever they are. So you've known me for a few years. You've probably seen me on Facebook, on LinkedIn. You've probably seen me on podcasts. You've maybe seen me speak on stage at an event somewhere. That is really what omnipresence is. You're like, wow, like you told me right before we even got on this call, like, Jeff, I've seen you everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
So that's that development of omnipresence. And that really has to do with, putting together how you show up on these different platforms, putting together audience channel mapping. In other words, channel mapping means, where does my audience live? Is my audience mainly on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook? Are they on, do they read Forbes articles? Could I tap in there? Like for me, I'm a Forbes contributor. So I know when I write an article on Forbes and I post it on my profile, people are like, oh, yeah, right? It helps raise my awareness across multiple platforms. That's omnipresence. And the second piece of that is relevance. How are you, if you say that you're an expert at what you do, then what is your offer that you can provide that really gets people results, right? As a coach, like, here's what you're going to do. It always comes down to that offer of what you're able to get people results for. And then I develop out with my clients what's called the 5 pillars of expertise. The 5 pillars of expertise are, what are the 5 things that have to be true, right? That you have to be an expert at to back up that you can get the results for your client, right? And I think not a lot of people think about that. So if I tell people that I'm going to be able to help them grow their personal brand or their agency brand or whatever they're doing, we'll just use personal brand for the sake of this podcast. But if I say, look, I can help you build your personal brand, well, what are the 5 things that really are important about building a personal brand that I have to be an expert at to basically make people believe that I can actually deliver them results? So some of that is social media, being an expert at social media, because growing your brand in the digital age is really a lot about social media. Another piece of that is around inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is a huge piece of that. How are people finding you online? How are they finding you instead of you going to them? Another piece of that, for me, is copywriting. Copywriting is so huge. It's one of the most essential skills, if not the most essential skill of anyone. I don't care what business you're in. If you don't know how to do copywriting, or you don't have a great copywriter, I'll put that in there because I have a great copywriter, then you just don't get seen, right? So those are just 3 of my 5 pillars of expertise. But you get the idea, is that each one of these pillars reinforce why you are the answer to these people's problems. And when you have the marriage between you showing your expertise and relevance and being omnipresent across multiple platforms, that marriage is actually what creates authority, because people are seeing you as an expert in your field that can get results across multiple platforms. That right there is what grows your authority.
Yeah. I believe it was Grant Cardone, if I know it was, who said, obscurity is your biggest enemy. Obscurity is your biggest enemy. People don't know you. They cannot do business with you. And that's what I've always said. Some of the greatest writers, some of the greatest coaches, some of the greatest ministers, some of the greatest people will never, ever live up to their calling because people don't know about them. It doesn't matter how great you are if nobody knows it.
And you know why authority is so important, right? When you have that expert relevance, when you're developed out as the expert, you've got your 5 pillars of expertise, and you're on cross platforms, you're on multiple platforms, and people can see you. What's excellent about that, what's really amazing, is that that's social proof, right? I mean, that's proof that you're an expert, because people right now are probably the most skeptical they've ever been in their entire lives, because no one even can trust an Amazon review anymore.
That's true. Right? That's true.
And so social proof is so important. What's really great about that too is, you noticed earlier when I said how I was on Forbes, I was at digitalmarketer.com speaking at their event. I'm actually going to be speaking at the Digital Agency Expo, which is the very first inaugural one up in New York City. It's going to be with Gary Vee and a bunch of awesome speakers that it's still setting in, to be honest. But what that does is it gives you industry recognition. Industry recognition is really important. Social proof, industry recognition. And the beautiful piece about this is that so many coaches are trying to find that next client all the time. Wouldn't it be great to have the authority in your space to where you have a waiting list of people and you're turning people away? Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, people are thinking too small. If you're thinking about, how do I make this how do I make this full time? I got news for you. Once you can show people results, people are going to be banging down your doors, man. People are banging down my doors because they know when they work with me, they're going to get results. And that's what you need to get to, right? And here's the other added benefit of it. You get premium pricing, Wayne. Like when you are an expert, you're industry recognized, you have social proof, you've got your omnipresence everywhere, you've got your relevance, you've got your industry expert kind of hat on. What that does, it gives you premium pricing because people are going to come to you and say, well, why should I work with you? You're 10 times more than this guy. And say, you know what? If you can't afford that, you should probably work with that guy.
Yeah, and that's okay. And that's okay to say, Jeff, because sometimes people don't think they can afford it until they realize the need. They realize how bad do you want to change your business? How bad do you really want to go full time? And what's driving you?
The one thing you don't want to do, Wayne, is take on one of those clients that you know you shouldn't because you needed the money.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The number one time, like if I go back and I say, one of the worst clients I've ever worked for, you know what? It's always been the ones that I knew weren't going to be a good fit, and I just needed the money.
Yeah. Yeah, and when we bring on new coaches, someone that's just, a lot of times the question is, Wayne, what should I charge? Should I be at this amount per hour or per session or per program? And I'm like, if you start thinking that way, you really start placing yourself in a job mentality. You really got to get out of that. And what solution are you providing? What solution are you providing? You know, our top coaching program's $24,000. And so when somebody pays us $24,000, they're getting something of value. And then when people pay attention. Not everyone. Some people just blow money. But most people that have paid, you know, $1,500 to $2,000 a month or more, they pay attention because now they're financially invested into it. And if they don't,